permanently erased Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from the constitutional architecture of the British monarchy was not signed in anger. It was not drafted in haste. It was not the product of familial estrangement or personal grievance. It was executed at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning, in the Privy Council chamber at Buckingham Palace, by Prince William in his capacity as Chair of the Regency Council, under powers formally delegated to him during King Charles's ongoing period of reduced duties. The instrument is titled Order of Constitutional Clarification regarding the status of non-resident descendants. It is 12 pages long. It cites 3 Acts of Parliament, 2 royal prerogative instruments, and 1 binding legal opinion from the Attorney, and its operative clause is singular, absolute, and irreversible. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, having voluntarily established permanent domicile outside the United Kingdom, and having formally renounced all institutional roles, privileges, and obligations associated with their status as members of the royal family, are hereby recognized as having permanently relinquished their place in the line of succession. This recognition is declaratory, not punitive. It reflects constitutional reality, not sovereign discretion. It is final. It is without appeal. It is forever. Before we unpack the legal mechanism that made this removal possible, not through parliamentary amendment, but through declaratory recognition of existing constitutional fact, before we reveal the 18-month process of legal review, diplomatic consultation, and private family negotiation that preceded this moment, and before we describe Harry and Meghan's response to learning that their names have been formally excised from the registry that has defined their birthright since infancy, make sure to hit subscribe to Crown Watch and turn on the notification bell. Because this story is not about exile, it is not about punishment, it is not about a brother's revenge or a father's disappointment. It is about the hardest arithmetic of constitutional monarchy, the calculation of what happens when a royal chooses a life incompatible with the office they were born to hold. And it is about a future king who determined that the institution cannot survive indefinitely with unresolved ambiguity at its core, that the line must be clean, that the succession must be certain, that the future must be unburdened by the past's unfinished business. To understand why this decision was made now, we must first understand what it is not. This is not an act of disinheritance. Disinheritance implies deprivation of something rightfully held. Harry and Meghan were not deprived. They departed voluntarily, publicly, irrevocably. In January 2020, they stepped back from royal duties. In 2021, they confirmed their departure was permanent. In 2023, they established permanent domicile in California, purchased property as primary residence, enrolled their children in American schools, and built commercial enterprises headquartered in the United States. Each of these actions constituted, under British constitutional law and common law principles of domicile, a voluntary relinquishment of the conditions necessary to maintain active status in the line of succession. What William's order does is not strip them of something they still possessed. It formally recognizes that they no longer possess it. The distinction is critical. Legally, constitutionally, historically, this is not punishment. It is acknowledgement, not expulsion. It is confirmation, not severance. It is recognition of a severance that already occurred. The legal foundation for this recognition rests on 3 pillars. First, the Act of Settlement 1701, which requires that heirs to the throne be in communion with the Church of England and owe allegiance to the Crown. While Harry remains technically in communion, his establishment of permanent domicile abroad and formal renunciation of institutional roles creates a constitutional ambiguity regarding allegiance that the Act cannot accommodate indefinitely. Second, the Royal Marriages Act 1772, as amended, which governs the status of descendants who marry without sovereign consent or establish foreign domicile. While Harry's marriage was approved, his subsequent establishment of permanent foreign domicile triggers provisions regarding succession eligibility that have remained dormant but legally extant. Third, the common law doctrine of domicile, which holds that a person's legal home is determined by physical presence and intention to remain indefinitely. Harry and Meghan's actions since 2020 satisfy both criteria for American domicile and negate any claim to retained British domicile for constitutional purposes. The Attorney General's opinion, delivered to the Regency Council after 12 months of review, concluded unanimously. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have, through sustained and unequivocal conduct, established permanent domicile outside the United Kingdom and relinquished all institutional ties. Their continued inclusion in the line of succession is a constitutional anomaly requiring declaratory correction. William did not arrive at this decision alone. The process began 18 months ago, when he commissioned a comprehensive review of succession law in light of modern realities. He consulted constitutional scholars at Oxford, Cambridge, and Edinburgh. He sought opinions from former Lord Chancellors, retired Supreme Court justices, and senior counsel specializing in Crown law. He engaged in quiet diplomatic consultations with Commonwealth realms whose own succession laws are tied to British statute. He convened a working group of Privy Councillors to examine historical precedents for declaratory recognition of succession, changes absent parliamentary amendment. And throughout this process he maintained private communication with Harry, not through lawyers, not through intermediaries, but directly. 6 conversations over 12 months, each respectful, each honest, each focused not on persuasion but on clarity. William's message was consistent. This is not about you leaving, you've already left. This is about the institution catching up to the reality you've created. I need you to understand that this is not punishment. It is alignment. Not rejection. It is recognition. Not my decision alone. It is the law's conclusion, confirmed by independent review, endorsed by the Council, and executed because the future cannot carry unresolved ambiguity. Harry's response evolved across those 6 conversations. Initially defensive, then questioning, then reflective, finally accepting. In the final conversation, held 3 weeks before the order was executed, Harry said, "I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. We chose this life. We built it deliberately. We can't ask the institution to hold space for us while we live entirely outside. If the law says we're gone, then we're gone. Make it official. Make it clean. Make it clear. For George. For Charlotte. For Louis. For Lilibet. For Archie. So they inherit certainty, not confusion." That acceptance was not surrender. It was maturity, recognition that choices have consequences, that freedom has costs, that building a life outside the institution necessarily means releasing the institutional identity that once defined you. Harry's acceptance did not make the order easier for William to sign, but it made it right, morally, legally, familiarly. The order was not imposed on an unwilling subject. It was executed with the acknowledged consent of the person it affected. That consent transforms the order from act of power to act of mutual recognition. Meghan's understanding paralleled Harry's, though her path to acceptance was distinct. She has never been bound by the same blood ties, the same lifelong conditioning, the same internalized sense of institutional belonging. Her relationship to the line of succession has always been derivative, contingent, relational. When Harry accepted the constitutional reality, Meghan accepted its implications for their family. She articulated her position clearly in a private message to Catherine. "We chose our home, our children's home, our future's home. That home is not in the UK. It is not in the institution. It is in California, in our community, in our work, in our values. If the institution needs clarity to function, give it clarity. We do not need our names on a list to know who we are. We know who we are. Give the list to those who need it. We have everything else." That message was shared with William. It informed his framing of the order. It ensured that the declaration was respectful, not dismissive, acknowledging, not erasing, declaratory, not punitive. Meghan's clarity helped shape an order that honors choice even as it confirms consequence. The Privy Council meeting at which the order was executed was brief, formal, and unanimous. 12 members present. The Lord President read the summary. The Attorney General confirmed the legal basis. William presented the rationale. No objections were raised, no amendments proposed, no dissent recorded. The order was signed, sealed, and entered into the Constitutional Register at 10:47 a.m. At noon, the palace issued a statement. The Privy Council has today issued an order of constitutional clarification, recognising that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, having established permanent domicile outside the United Kingdom and formally relinquished all institutional roles, are no longer included in the line of succession. This order reflects existing constitutional reality arising from their voluntary choices. It is declaratory, not punitive. It ensures clarity for future generations. The Duke and Duchess retain their titles as personal dignities. Their children remain eligible for British citizenship by descent. This decision brings closure to a period of transition and allows the institution to move forward with certainty. The public reaction was immediate and divided. Constitutional scholars praised the legal precision and declaratory approach. Monarchists expressed relief at the resolution of long-standing ambiguity. Republicans questioned why parliamentary action wasn't required. Media outlets debated whether the order constituted soft abdication or hard exclusion. But beneath the noise, a quieter consensus emerged that this was inevitable, that the ambiguity could not persist indefinitely, that Harry and Meghan's choices had already effected their departure, the order merely documented it. That William's execution of the order represented not cruelty but stewardship, not vengeance but responsibility, not ending but alignment. The institution had caught up to reality. The line was clean. The future was unburdened. What does this mean for Archie and Lilibet? They remain eligible for British citizenship by descent. They retain the theoretical right to claim that citizenship upon reaching majority. But they are no longer in the line of succession. They will not be listed in official registries. They will not be referenced in succession planning. They will not be prepared for institutional roles. They are, constitutionally, private citizens with royal ancestry. This is not punishment, it is consequence. The consequence of their parents' choices, the consequence of geography, the consequence of domicile. They will grow up knowing their heritage but not carrying its institutional weight, knowing their grandmother's name but not bearing its constitutional burden, knowing their uncle is king but not being part of his succession. This is the life their parents chose for them. A life of freedom from institutional obligation, a life of privacy, a life of self-determination. Whether that life feels like liberation or loss will depend on them, on their own relationship to heritage, identity, and belonging. The institution has released them. Their future is theirs to define. What does this mean for George, Charlotte, and Louis? Certainty, clarity, unambiguous succession, no shadow heirs, no competing claims, no constitutional ambiguity, no unresolved questions about loyalty, domicile, or allegiance. They inherit a line that is clean, a future that is defined, an institution that has resolved its most persistent source of uncertainty. This is the gift William has given them. Not wealth, not title, not privilege, certainty. The certainty that comes from knowing exactly who they are, what they inherit, and what is expected of them. The certainty that comes from a succession unclouded by parallel lives lived outside the institution's boundaries. The certainty that comes from a father who did the hard work of alignment so they wouldn't have to. This is stewardship, not control, preparation, not restriction, love expressed through clarity, protection offered through resolution. What does this mean for Charles? Relief, quiet, complicated, grief-tinged relief. He has carried the weight of his younger son's ambiguous status since January 2020. Every public appearance, every family gathering, every constitutional discussion has been shadowed by the unresolved question of Harry's place. The order resolves that shadow, not by rejecting Harry, by acknowledging the reality Harry created. Charles did not sign the order. William did, but Charles assented, privately, quietly, with the full weight of paternal love and sovereign responsibility. His assent was not enthusiastic. It was necessary, necessary for the institution, necessary for William, necessary for Harry, necessary for the grandchildren who deserve certainty. Charles's relief is not joy. It is release, release from ambiguity, release from the impossible task of holding space for a son who has chosen to stand outside the space, release from the tension between paternal love and institutional duty. The order does not heal the family, but it clarifies the family's structure. And clarity, however painful, is preferable to perpetual uncertainty. What does this mean for William? Burden lifted, responsibility fulfilled, future secured. He has spent years preparing to inherit an institution burdened by unresolved transition. This order removes that burden, not by erasing Harry, by aligning the institution with the reality Harry embodies. William's leadership is defined not by exclusion, but by clarity. Not by punishment, but by recognition. Not by power exercised over others, but by stewardship exercised for the future. This order is his first major constitutional act as de facto head of the institution during his father's reduced duties. It sets the tone for his eventual reign, principled, precise, compassionate, clear. He has shown that the monarchy can evolve without breaking, can acknowledge change without denying tradition, can honor individual choice while maintaining institutional integrity. This is the monarchy William is building. Not perfect, not painless, but honest, aligned, sustainable, ready. What does this mean for the institution? Survival, adaptation, evolution? The monarchy has faced succession crises before. Abdications, deaths, scandals, divorces. Each time it adapted, each time it survived. This moment is another adaptation. Not dramatic, not traumatic, declaratory, administrative, legal, quiet, but profound. It acknowledges that the monarchy cannot remain static while its members' lives evolve, that institutional structures must reflect lived realities, that ambiguity is unsustainable, that clarity serves survival. That recognition of change is not betrayal of tradition but fulfillment of tradition's deepest purpose, continuity through adaptation. The institution survives not by resisting change, but by integrating it, not by denying departure, but by documenting it, not by punishing choice, but by aligning with it. This order is integration, documentation, alignment. It is the institution catching up to the lives its members have chosen, and in catching up it secures its future. The legal permanence of this order is absolute. It is declaratory, not discretionary. It recognizes existing fact, rather than creating new status. As such, it cannot be reversed by future sovereigns, cannot be overturned by courts, cannot be amended by Parliament without explicit statutory repeal, which would require demonstrating that the underlying facts, domicile, renunciation of roles, have changed. Since Harry and Meghan have reaffirmed their permanent domicile and institutional separation repeatedly since 2020, reversal is legally foreclosed. The order is forever, not as punishment, as recognition, as documentation of a choice made freely, sustained consistently and acknowledged finally. Forever is not cruelty, it is clarity. Permanence is not exile, it is certainty. The line is fixed, the future is defined, the ambiguity is resolved. Forever. What do you think? Was William right to issue a declaratory order removing Harry and Meghan from the line of succession? Or should parliamentary legislation have been required? Does declaratory recognition respect individual choice more than punitive exclusion, or does it mask coercion in legal language? Should Archie and Lilibet retain theoretical succession rights despite their parents' choices, or does complete removal better serve their autonomy? Can the monarchy maintain legitimacy while formally excluding descendants who chose different paths, or does exclusion undermine the institution's claim to represent national unity? And what does this moment reveal about the relationship between individual freedom and institutional continuity in systems built on inherited obligation? Tell us in the comments below. We read every one, and this story, more than any we have covered, demands the community's judgment. If you want to stay ahead of the royal stories the mainstream media will not touch, make sure you are subscribed to Crown Watch. Turn on the notification bell. Share this with someone who understands that the hardest decisions are not made in anger but in clarity, that the most loving acts are not protections from truth but alignments with it, that the most responsible leadership is not control but stewardship. Because in the House of Windsor the crown passes by law, but clarity passes by courage, by orders signed in quiet chambers, by conversations held across oceans, by acceptances offered without resentment, by recognitions made without punishment, by futures secured through present honesty, by lines clean through mutual acknowledgement, by ambiguities resolved through declaratory truth, by institutions catching up to lives lived beyond their boundaries, by fathers releasing sons to their chosen paths, by brothers honoring each other's choices even when those choices diverge, by children inheriting certainty rather than confusion, by grandchildren growing up free from burdens not theirs to carry, by monarchies surviving through adaptation rather than rigidity, by traditions evolving through recognition rather than resistance, by forever meaning not exile but clarity, not punishment but alignment, not ending but resolution. Clarity is the inheritance, clarity is the order, clarity is the recognition, clarity is the acceptance, clarity is the relief, clarity is the burden lifted, clarity is the future secured, clarity is the institution aligned, clarity is the line clean, clarity is the ambiguity resolved, clarity is the choice honored, clarity is the consequence acknowledged, clarity is the love expressed through honesty, clarity is the stewardship fulfilled, clarity is the survival ensured, clarity is the evolution embraced, clarity is the tradition fulfilled through adaptation, clarity is the forever that means not exile but peace, not punishment but freedom, not ending but beginning. Beginning for George, beginning for Charlotte, beginning for Louis, beginning for Lilibet, beginning for William, beginning for Catherine, beginning for Charles, beginning for Camilla, beginning for the institution, beginning for the future, beginning for the truth. Truth is clarity. Clarity is forever. Forever is peace. Peace is the line. The line is clean. Clean is the future. Future is the children. Children are the hope. Hope is the institution. Institution is the survival. Survival is the adaptation. Adaptation is the tradition. Tradition is the continuity. Continuity is the clarity. Clarity is the order. Order is the recognition. Recognition is the acceptance. Acceptance is the love. Love is the honesty. Honesty is the courage. Courage is the stewardship. Stewardship is the responsibility. Responsibility is the future. Future is the certainty. Certainty is the gift. Gift is the clarity. Clarity is forever. Stay curious. Stay informed. Stay questioning. And remember, every choice has a consequence. Every departure has a documentation. Every ambiguity has a resolution. Until next time, keep your eyes on the orders signed in quiet chambers, and your hearts open to the clarity that serves love even when it costs comfort. Because the clarity is the love is the honesty is the courage is the stewardship is the future is the children are the certainty is the gift is the line is clean is the institution is the survival is the adaptation is the tradition is the continuity is the clarity is forever is peace is the choice honored is the consequence acknowledged is the ambiguity resolved is the future secured is the burden lifted is the relief felt is the love expressed is the honesty offered is the courage shown is the stewardship fulfilled is the responsibility met is the institution aligned is the survival ensured is the evolution embraced is the tradition fulfilled is the continuity maintained is the clarity achieved is the order executed is the recognition granted Recognition granted is the acceptance offered. Acceptance offered is the love embodied. Love embodied is the honesty lived. Honesty lived is the courage practiced. Courage practiced is the stewardship modeled. Stewardship modeled is the responsibility taught. Responsibility taught is the future prepared. Future prepared is the certainty inherited. Certainty inherited is the gift received. Gift received is the line clean. Line clean is the institution strong. Institution strong is the survival assured. Survival assured is the adaptation complete. Adaptation complete is the tradition honored. Tradition honored is the continuity secured. Continuity secured is the clarity permanent. Clarity permanent is the forever that means peace. Peace is the choice. Choice is the consequence. Consequence is the clarity. Clarity is the love. Love is the future. Future is forever. Forever is clarity. The order rests now in the constitutional register, sealed, filed, integrated into the living body of succession law. It is not displayed, not celebrated, not mourned. It simply is. A fact, a recognition, a resolution. Its existence ensures that George, Charlotte, and Louis inherit a line unclouded by parallel lives, that Archie and Lilibet grow up free from institutional expectations never meant for them. That William leads with certainty rather than ambiguity, that Charles rests without the weight of unresolved transition. That the institution moves forward, aligned with the realities its members have chosen. The order is not monument. It is infrastructure. Not memorial. It is maintenance, not ending. It is alignment. And in its quiet, permanent, declaratory existence, it serves the future more faithfully than any ceremony could, because the future needs clarity, not spectacle, certainty, not sentiment, resolution, not rhetoric. The order provides that, quietly, permanently, completely. And in providing it, it fulfills the deepest purpose of constitutional monarchy, to endure through honest adaptation, to survive through clear alignment, to serve the future by acknowledging the present, to honor choice while maintaining continuity, to love individuals enough to release them from obligations they've relinquished, to love the institution enough to align it with the lives its members actually live, to love the truth enough to declare it, however painfully, however permanently, however finally. Goodbye.